Welcome, penny stock billionaires. Now, can you imagine buying a stock which has a 10 bagger, a 1000% profit built in? Now, I know it sounds crazy, but you know, the average investor has no idea this exists. It's beyond their comprehension, and that's why they miss out on some of the best opportunities. Again, and you've seen some of the stocks we've had in the last couple of years, stocks that went up, 10x, 20x, 50x. One of the things many of them had in common was that they had this built-in profit potential. What is this built-in profit? I'm going to explain to you right now and how this applies to a 4-cent biotech psychedelic stock, which potentially can be our next 10 bagger. Now, this again is based on, it's all based on the book. It's on the system, 10 bagger blueprint. We're going to be explaining exactly how this works. Let me get out of this picture right here. Okay, what do I have on the screen? I have on the screen a spreadsheet I put together, which is basically the stocks inside of the psychedelic sector. Okay, these are biotech, psychedelic companies that are all basically in. They're developing, psychedelic drugs. They're in phase 2, phase 2A. One of them might be like in phase 3. So they're like relatively early stage companies, and they're trading at significant valuations. Or I guess it's a relative term, because in the biotech sector, you can have crazy moves in the biotech sector. I mean, it's really just blue sky potential. Anytime we see companies deliver good data, you see these stocks. A lot of times you see these stocks double literally overnight. Again, anytime you can just type in, stocks up, most stocks up, whatever. Biggest gainers, just about every day of the week, the biggest gainers are biotech stocks that have released some, positive data. And, that's these stocks are data driven. It's the clinical research that makes them go up. So anyway, let's get into this. Here you can see a lot of these companies are trading at valuations of a couple $100 million plus, right? Nova Mentis, the stock that you see at the bottom, NMLSF, is trading at a valuation of under $8 million right now, right? So the stock is, I have it as a nickel. It's really a 4-cent stock right now, right? So if this valuation gap closes, potentially you could have a move to, 50 cents plus, right? I mean, again, look at some of these companies. MindMed trading at 134 million, Celos 94 million. Now we've seen a company just the other day, Pharma, it's M&M. I get these, they all have these kind of same symbols, but that stock was, I think it's nearly tripled in just a little while, and they really don't have a lot going on, right? Especially when you compare to Nova Mentis. Now, here's what's going on. Nova Mentis, what do they do first? Again, if you're not familiar with the story, I'm going to explain to you exactly why this potentially can become a 10 bagger. And I'm only going to talk about one thing today, which is really, again, 10 bagger blueprint, my number one bestseller on Amazon. That's right, number one bestseller book on Amazon. Great reviews. I talk about the proven system for finding stocks that can, increase 10x or more. So stuff like this that you see at the bottom of the screen. Now, we've had a whole bunch of these 10 baggers. Now, some of you are wondering, how is it possible you can deliver so many of these, 10 baggers more than anybody else on Wall Street? It's all based on the system I reveal in the book. Again, it's a system. It's not something, that I just pull out of my ass or make up. It's based on 10 steps. It's a 10 success factors, I call it. And one of them is something called the valuation gap opportunity, right? Which is here on page 40. Here we go. Right here. The 10 bagger blueprint scoring system. You got it right here. So one of the key things that we look for is valuation, right? We want to get into these stocks. You got to get into these stocks dirt cheap. You got to get into them at a discount of at least 75%, 90% or more. What does that mean? Okay, exactly like what you're seeing on this spreadsheet. So you have these stocks that they're comps, they're similar companies, right? Very similar in terms of development stage. And again, there are some nuances. Yeah, I know there's some nuances. Slightly different drug, maybe a little bit more advanced, whatever. But again, the spread is so big, between 400 million to 8 million, 400 million and 8 million. I mean, that's a massive contrast, right? So again, I'm not saying that Nova Mentis should be trading at 400 million. I'm not saying that. I'm not even saying that it should be 200 million. I do believe that the stock should be right now at least 50 million based on where they're at in their development phase. And by the way, they just announced the patient recruiting is starting. So again, what do they do for anybody that's brand new? So they're developing a psilocybin-based therapeutic. So it's psilocybin is a psychedelic compound, a psilocybin-based therapeutic for treating Fragile X, FXS, which is kind of a subset of autism, right? It's a rare, so they have a FDA rare drug designation for this. Again, it's a rare disease, a brain disorder, if you will, neurological disorder. And the idea is this, right? The idea is that's a very niche market, but it's a beachhead, right? So the whole idea is you want to get approval for this very narrow target, this very specific target, and from there, you could then again, once you have a drug approved, it can then get off-label prescription, so doctors can prescribe it for other things. Because the main thing is you want to show that it's obviously not toxic, right? There's safety. Then you want to show efficacy, right? So and again, we've had preclinical research that suggests this has some really incredible applications in potentially in memory disorders. Could this potentially be used for Alzheimer's, for Parkinson's, a lot of neurological disorders that this could be potentially applied for. So it's really could become a platform drug. And we've seen this happen many times in the drug development business where, a company, one of these biotech companies, they launch a drug and they get it approved. And then it could expand into other indications, right? And those can become massive multi-billion-dollar markets. So this is the same type of opportunity that you see here. So it's not just Fragile X. That's the beachhead, right? They want to get this approved. Again, we're going into the phase 2A clinical trials. So the company has actually had some major milestones. Like for what you're getting here for an $8 million, think of it as you're buying a business, right? Think of it as Warren Buffett. You're buying this business for $8 million. What do these guys have, right? So they're at the cusp, at the threshold of potentially an explosive upside valuation event because, they've gone through all this process, all this preclinical research. They're ready to start the clinical trial. So they just announced today that they're starting the patient recruitment process. And once they have these patients, and again, all they need is 10 for this initial trial. And that's going to be a 28-day trial, right? And what happens after that is then they start releasing the data. So over the next couple of months, we could see some major catalysts for upside potential in the stock, right? Again, these biotech stocks, if you see what goes on, anytime that you have positive data come out, you can have incredible moves in these stocks. And again, what I see as the opportunity, and I'm only going to focus on one thing, again, based on the 10-bagger blueprint. Now, this company, Nova Mentis, actually, hang on, let me go to page 47 here, which is the thing here. So again, we look at 10 factors when we analyze these potential super stocks, right? 10 factors. And what are they? Number one, market opportunity. What's the size of the market opportunity? In the case of Nova Mentis, it's a multi-billion-dollar market opportunity. When you go beyond this Fragile X, when you talk about autism, other neurological disorders, massive multi-billion-dollar market opportunity. Traction. Do they have traction? Yeah, they have massive milestones. Check out the press release they had just about a week ago when they listed everything bullet point by bullet point, where they talked about everything that they did. And again, they did it on a tiny limited budget. So I think their CEO should get really serious credit. By the way, the team, I'm going to talk about the team in a second. The team is You got Dr. Marvin Hausman. He's had 40-year, 50-year career possibly in the biotech drug sector, developing how many drugs did he develop that got FDA commercialization? I think one of them became, some of them have probably produced billions in revenues cumulatively. It's really incredible. I got a comment coming in here from Mike. Is Kevin O'Leary? No, yeah. Right. So what's interesting is this. So this stock has been under the radar. Now, Mike brings up a very interesting point. Why is there an opportunity here? Why do you see this opportunity, right? Why do you see Novomentis trading at an 8 million valuation and some of these companies are trading at 100 million valuation? That opportunity, it exists because the stock is undiscovered. It's undiscovered. It's off the radar. As the company gets on the radar of investors, that valuation gap, it closes. That's how this works. Okay, that's exactly how this works. And we've seen that happen countless times, again, with some of our biggest winners in the past. Again, the last biotech stock I was involved with was CYDY. It went up from 50 cents to $10.01. Okay, I'm going to have it here at the bottom of the screen. Peak FinTech, another one that became a 20 bagger. Fans, all these companies. One of the big catalysts that they had, one of the reasons why we brought them onto the next super stock platform was they had this built-in profit potential. What does it mean? They were all trading at a discount to their peers. That's right. Every one of those stocks that you see at the bottom of that screen. And by the way, press the like and subscribe button so you get the notifications. It helps the channel. But the idea is this. All of them, they had that when we brought them onto the program. They all were trading at a discount of maybe 75%, 90%, 50%, at least 50% to their peer groups. How does it work? Okay, again, let me give you another metaphor that I like to use. It's very simple. People understand this when it comes down to real estate, right? You live in a neighborhood, like it's all the houses in this neighborhood are the same, right? They're all the same size. Everything is the same, right? And they're selling for, let's say, $1 million, right? Let's say it's a nice neighborhood, right? Every house is selling for $1 million. What if you have the opportunity to buy one of these houses for 500 grand, right? Half price. Would you do it? Yeah, that's the whole idea, right? And by the way, there's I guess a lot of these real estate guys, that's their whole system is based on that, right? I think who's this guy on YouTube? You see this guy, Kevin, the Meet Kevin guy. I think he talks about that as his, I forget what he calls it, but that's his big real estate strategy to buy the house. It's undervalued based on the comps, right? Well, you can do the same exact thing with stocks. Now, with real estate, because, here's the thing with real estate, like any moron can make money in real estate over the long term because you just have this built-in edge, right? With stocks, you got to be a little more intelligent. That's why with real estate, everybody understands it. With stocks, people don't get it. And that's why there's an opportunity. The biggest opportunity is when you have these kind of valuation gaps, and that exists because the average investor is an idiot. I mean, I hate to tell you this. It's true. The average investor, when do they start buying these stocks? No, they do not buy them at the bottom. They buy them at the top. And that's how they get killed. This is the average investor is going to buy these stocks when they're already up 500%, 1,000% or more. And again, the stocks you see at the bottom of the screen, those are some of our big winners. I talk about it in the book. Okay, now if you read this book, you would have learned when was the right time to get into these stocks and when should you sell. That's right, sell the stocks. You got to take profits. Okay, go to Amazon and get this book, 10-Bagger Blueprint. It's on Amazon. 10-Bagger Blueprint on Amazon, $19.95. And by the way, we're going to be raising the price. We might even take the book off the market or raise the price. I don't know. This is the best investment you can ever make in your lifetime. Again, you're going to discover things in this book that can change your life. Again, there's people who have made millions of dollars following what we've been doing here. Now, here's the thing, right? So we got a 10-part system. We talk about inflection point. Is Novomentis at the inflection point? Yes, they are, because this clinical trial that they're going to start right now, that's the catalyst. That's the catalyst. That's where the valuation can explode. If they get good data, it's a completely transformed stock, right? Again, that's the catalyst to close the valuation gap. You see, again, on the screen, you got some of these companies are trading at 200 million, 300 million valuations. Nova Mentis could be there. They could be. I'm not even saying they should be at 200 million. I'm saying they should be at 50 million, 100 million, right? So you got a 10x, 20x upside based on that. Do you get it? You know, it's so funny. It's like when these stocks are cheap, this is why the opportunity exists. Nobody wants to buy them, right? When they start moving, everybody gets FOMO, and that's when they start jumping in. And then, of course, they buy them right at the top. Now, again, you want to get in cheap, or you want to get in when these things have peaked, right? Again, when you're buying Nova Mentis, again, this is not investment advice. This is high risk. It's paid content. Click the link in the video. We got the links to the disclaimers, all that stuff, 17B, all that stuff, right? Paid content. By the way, I'm also an investor in the company, okay? I bought into their private placement a year ago, so I got a lot of stock, right? Why did I buy the stock? Again, based on the book, I talk about, if you want to invest in private placements, if you want to invest in these stocks, you need an asymmetric setup. This is what this book is about. What is an asymmetric setup? It's when you have a 100 to 1 opportunity, a 20 to 1, 50 to 1, whatever it is. It's like a horse. Think of these stocks like a horse race, right? You don't want to bet on a horse that's like a 1 to 1 or 3 to 1, because what's the upside? The opportunity exists when a horse is on that tote board as 100 to 1. So your payout is 100 to 1, right? You put down a $2 bet, you can make $200. So because the market thinks the odds are great for whatever reason. But in reality, it's only a 10 to 1. I mean, of course, there's a risk, but it might only be a 10 to 1 because of a couple of things, right? And here, again, you have this asymmetric setup. You're getting the stock at 4 cents, 5 cents, whatever the price is, 8 million valuation. You have multiple catalysts in place for this thing to explode. And again, you're getting into it with you have this built-in profit. Again, like the real estate example. You got all the houses on the block. They're all selling for $1 million. You're getting this house. If you can buy this house at, in this case, you're buying it for like $100,000. Okay, so again, you got a neighborhood full of $1 million houses, and you can buy a house for whatever reason. It's $100,000. Okay, and again, everything is more or less. I mean, they might need a couple of new tiles on the roof or whatever. Grass needs mowing. There's always a reason why it's cheap, right? So maybe, again, going back to the real estate, if a house is not marketed properly, if people don't know about it, it's not gonna, it's not gonna get the top price, right? People maybe you have a FSBO, for sale by owner. They can't really sell it at the right price. You need a professional, right? That's where Wall Street Reporter comes in, right? The marketing. So what happens is you're getting this thing, you're getting it at 10 cents on the dollar. All you got to do is basically just sit back and relax, because you got to wait for the catalysts to kick in. Again, you're getting this thing at a dirt cheap valuation based on these comps. So you have this kind of built-in profit. Now, the catalyst to create the built-in profit is going to be the positive data, because right now the stock is priced as it's like a giveaway. It's at an $8 million valuation. They're kind of giving this company away. When they announce the start of the clinical trial, the market starts paying attention. Actually, they should be paying attention now. Based on where they are with approval to launch the clinical trial, they already should be at, I think, a 25 million valuation plus. But they're not. Why? Look, we're in a bear market. Multiple reasons. I don't have every reason here in the book. I don't know what the reason is. It's that's why it's an opportunity. It's an anomaly. It's an anomaly, right? What else do we have? Valuation. Okay, theme sector. So here's the thing. Sector heat. Psychedelics is kind of, it was red hot. We see the opportunities, but it's cooled off this year, right? However, the smart money is saying that this could be the year of the psychedelic stocks because a lot of these things are entering, kind of later stage clinical trials. We might see some positive news. Once that happens, the whole sector heats up, and people are looking for the next big winner. And again, you want to be where the puck is heading. Again, if you read my book, you'll understand this. You got to be in these things when they're on the ground floor, like Nova Mentis is right now. You got to be in it when the sector is not hot. Look at these AI stocks that are exploding, right? All of a sudden, AI is the hot theme, right? Where was AI a year ago? It was the same thing. 6 months ago, same thing. All of a sudden, everybody's discovering it, and some of these stocks are exploding. You want to be in it before they explode. Psychedelics will heat up again. In my opinion, forget about my opinion, the opinion of a lot of the smart people, the psychedelic sector is going to heat up this year, and you want to be in it in the right stocks that are dirt cheap valuations, which have been de-risked, so you can, take advantage when all of a sudden the average investor, starts buying those stocks, right? You want to be, when the ducks are quacking, you want to feed the ducks, right? Okay, so CEO leadership team quality. Okay, so you got Dr. Marvin Hausman. He's brought multiple drugs to market, probably billions of dollars in revenues from those drugs. Derek Cavani, who's the chairman, he was a founder and CEO of a company that became a 100 bagger, 100x. Okay. Will Raskin, the CEO, he's been in the capital markets for 30 years or something, right? This guy's raised, probably hundreds of millions for microcap stocks. He's had a bunch of winners. And most importantly, he's been able to get this thing to where they are now in a very, very limited budget. Again, this company has done amazing things for very little money, which I think is a testament to Will and the management team. I mean, and Marvin, of course. Again, what they've accomplished on very little money is incredible. These companies that you see on the screen, they've all raised, some of them hundreds of millions of dollars, and they're not much more advanced than where Nova is. Again, this company, the big catalyst that we're looking for is going to be the start of the clinical trial, this phase 2A clinical trial, and hopefully good data. Now, here's the thing. Let me just put this back on the screen. Let me take a little sip of water. How do we know that they're going to get good data with the trial? No, we don't know this. You never know these things. However, here's what you get. Here's the reality, right? Dr. Marvin Hausman, he's been again in clinical research, bringing drugs through the FDA process, through clinical trials for like 40 years or something, right? The guy's been a surgeon running a clinical research organization. By the way, his stock became, I think, a 50 bag or 50x, 5,000% increase on the New York Stock Exchange. This is back in the day, right? This guy's been around, right? And the idea is that he understands that in order to have a successful clinical trial, you got to design these clinical trials for success, right? So, and there's a whole science, literally science behind this. It's a lot involved, but the idea is you want to design the clinical trial where you get the right patients, where it's super, super targeted. You have, you got the right endpoints that you're going after so that you can actually, design these things where you have a high probability of meeting your goals successfully, right? Because again, a lot of times what happens is with some of these clinical trials that don't work is a very common mistake that a lot of these even the big biotech companies make is, because again, each drug reacts with people differently, right? Again, we're all, just because we're all humans, biologically, like different groups, they react differently. I mean, whether you're talking about a male, female, age, race. I mean, these things actually matter because people are just, they're different. They react differently under other underlying conditions. So there's like I don't know how many different factors there are. So you got to really target a very specific thing for some of these drugs. And if you can do that with that patient population, you increase your odds of success. And that's exactly what they're doing. So it's a very, very tightly focused. Again, and if you watch some of the videos that we've done with Dr. Marvin, he talks about this. I mean, they're really going for this bullseye thing where they want to have this kind of really the odds are very, I mean, I don't want to say the odds are high because again, until we get humans taking the psilocybin, taking these capsules, we don't know. You never know, right? We've seen, in the animal model success, in the human model, that's the whole game here. We got to find out. But based on everything that we have a pretty good probability of success. Again, with these biotech stocks, it's risky, right? This is not a guaranteed thing. That's why you have these massive payoffs. If the thing works, you could have a 50 bagger, 100 bagger type stock with some of these biotech stocks. It happens, quite frequently, or at least a 10, 20 bagger. Now, in the case of Nova, again, I see that 10 bagger built in. Again, my whole thesis with this stock is that because the valuation is so cheap compared to other peers, again, using that real estate example, this thing is trading at 10 cents on the dollar compared to its peers, right? Now the question is, what's going to close that valuation gap? Again, you have this arbitrage opportunity, right? What's going to close this valuation gap? And in my opinion, it's going to be once they launch the trial, they get some data. That's going to be the catalyst. And of course, hopefully we're going to be getting some more investor eyeballs on the stock in the next couple of weeks, and that's going to drive. I think again, when you have more people knowing about a stock, you have more potential demand for that stock. Now, we've been working with this company on and off for a while. Now the problem is, we kind of, we stopped the promotional campaign for a couple of months. So all of a sudden the thing dried up, and now we've just been relaunching. But it takes a while to get these things going again. That's why this thing is where it is. That's why it's only trading a couple thousand shares right now. So again, that's the opportunity for you right now. Okay, so again, now look, all these stocks are. I'm going to run the disclaimer at the bottom. They're all high risk, especially when it comes to biotech stocks, right? This is paid content. I'm also an investor in the company. I bought a lot of, I got 5 million shares that I own. I bought in the private placement, right? And again, I'm not in it to make a double. When the stock doubled, I didn't sell my shares, right? I'm not in it to make a double. I'm in it to make a 10 bagger, right? I see a potential to make a 10x in the stock in the next, couple of months. I see that as the opportunity. And again, this company has done everything that they said they would do, right? They said they would get the drug, they'd develop the thing, they'd get into the clinical trial. Now, we were expecting it to happen last year. That's the rub. Again, with these biotech companies, there's delays, they're a limited budget. So originally, we thought that they would, start the clinical trial last, because I think we were talking about, we said they would probably, maybe July, August of last year, right? So it's taken them, 9 months? Was it 9 months? Yeah, it's like 9 months. It's been 9 months behind schedule. And again, that's why you see this opportunity, right? But now you have this, what I call the 10 bagger window. What is the 10 bagger window? If you read the book, again, go to Amazon, get the book. It's $19.95. I believe it's going to change your life. If you don't have this book, you're missing out on a major edge, because there's things you're going to learn in this book. And again, I've had guys who are billionaires have read the book, actually bought the book, and they said, "Hey, this is great content. I mean, I've learned things here which really, like, I didn't know this." If you only learn one thing, in this book, which gives you an edge, it could make you millions of dollars, literally. Or let's say again, I'm assuming, let's say you're an investor. Let's say you have a $50,000 portfolio, right? You got a 50 grand portfolio. If you only get one thing from this book that where you can make 5-10 grand, just 5-10 grand. I mean, that gives you what? That's a 1,000 times your money, 500 times your money, because again, the book is $20. So if you can make 10 grand on a stock based on the ideas you get from this book, you're going to make 500 times your money. I guarantee you will never in your life, most likely, find a stock that goes up 500 times. I mean, we should all be so lucky. I mean, actually, I've had a couple of hundred stocks that went up 100x. One of them is Axon that went up 200. It went up 200x, not 200%, 200 times. In other words, if you bought the shares at $1, it went to like 200. Literally went to 200 plus. Rick's Cabaret, RCI, Hospitality, 100 bagger. Heska, I think that was bought out recently. I think it was a 50 or 100 bag. Look, we've had a bunch of them, right? Even the stupid, what's the one? Empower Clinics 2 years ago went up 5,000%, 50 bagger in 6 months, less than 6 months. Nobody believed it. Nobody believed it until the stock started moving, just like this one. And you know when they started buying? When did the average knucklehead start buying Empower CBDT? When the stock was already 50 cents or $1. And then it just went parabolic. And a lot of those guys are bag holders now because, they didn't sell. They should have sold. They should have sold. And if you read the book, you'll know the signals to look for, when to buy, when to sell. Again, go to Amazon, get this book, 10 Bagger Blueprint. Do me a favor also, when you get it, please do me a favor and leave a review. Because all these things help the algorithm. Like, we live in a stupid algorithm world where everything is controlled by the algorithms. So, I hate to say this, but if you can press the like and subscribe button, the like button on this video, I'm here begging for likes because every like helps the algorithm, makes the YouTube thing. We're monkeys here, controlled by these YouTube people. And again, if you leave a review, a positive review on Amazon, it helps the book because it's also algorithm driven. So I appreciate it. Again, I'm not here to get rich off selling this book. The reason I wrote this book is for one reason. I want you to become an educated investor, okay? I want you to understand the system. I want you to understand how to analyze these stocks for yourself. Don't listen to some schmuck on YouTube or whatever, or somebody calls you up, a broker, any person on the internet. You got to understand these things for yourself. If you read the book, you'll understand exactly how to analyze these stocks like a pro. You're going to have a major advantage over the average investor out there who gets slaughtered like sheep because, again, they're lemmings, they're followers. They don't do their own research. They don't analyze. They don't buy stocks that have asymmetric setups. They don't even know what an asymmetric setup is. When you read the book, you'll know what an asymmetric setup is. Nova Mentis has that asymmetric setup, but they don't know about the 10 bagger windows. The average investor doesn't know what a 10 bagger window is. That's why they lose money. Okay, that's why they buy stocks that go nowhere. Okay, now what is a 10 bagger window? The 10 bagger window, my friend, is, again, if you look at any stock, but I'm gonna pull up a chart on Nova Mentis. If you look at if you look at any stock, you will see something very interesting. A lot of times they're sideways, and all of a sudden, they make a massive move, right? They make a massive move, right? So let me show you something. Let me show you something interesting. I'm going to show you something interesting. Hang on a second. Let me get this up on the screen. I'm going to get this chart for you on the screen. Okay. You see this chart? Hang on a second. Let me do this. Let me go like this, and now let me go like this. Okay. So Perfect example. This is a weekly chart of Nova going back. And again, there's been splits, whatever. So you can't, you got to be careful when you analyze the data. But look, for the most of the time, this is a stock. A lot of stocks, they look very similar. A lot of times they're sideways. They're really not doing anything, right? The 10-bagger window it's a moment in time that lasts about 6 months, and that is when the company has it's a period during which a company has the potential to become a 10-bagger, which means that there's catalysts, there's an inflection point, there's things happening which can ignite potentially a big increase in the stock price. And you saw that happen with this stock. It was a different company, whatever. But look, here's what happened. The stock was trading at, I don't know, 40 cents. All of a sudden, it goes to $4 in like 5 weeks, right? It was a 10-bagger over here, right? More recently, again, here you had a move where it went from a nickel to 40 cents in a period of or 10 cents to 40 cents in a period of 6-8 weeks, right? That's typical example. By the way, so this is another thing I like about this. If you read my book, again, if you read my book, 10-Bagger Blueprint, one of the things I like, if you look at some of the big winners we've had, what did they all have in common, right? What they all had in common is they had charts that looked like what you see here on the screen in many, many cases, right? So you had this very big base, you had a previous move where it was much higher, 1 point, and then you have a big base. Why do I like this? Again, I talk about this in the book, 10-Bagger Blueprint, which you can get on Amazon. The base is, again, the stock is at the bottom. It's at the 52-week lows, right? So you're getting it at the bottom. You're buying it dirt cheap. And what I like to see is that the stock has made big highs before, because it's a weird concept. It's kind of it's part of the stock's DNA. It's part of the stock's spirituality, right? Nobody can explain it, but stocks like to go back to old highs for whatever reason, right? So doesn't make any sense. It's not rational, but we see these things happen. So if Nova Mentis goes back to old highs, we could see at least a move of, I'm not saying it's going to go to $4. Can it go to 40 cents, 50 cents? I believe it can easily. And again, I showed you the catalyst for it to get there, which is really this. This is the catalyst. Now, this is the real catalyst. This is the valuation gap arbitrage thesis. Again, all my whole thesis with this stock is that it's trading at 10 cents on the dollar, 5 cents on the dollar compared to its peer group. And that gap is going to close. The catalyst for that valuation gap to close is once they get into the start of the phase 2A clinical trials, they get some positive data, and then we could see that gap potentially close. And we could see Nova trading like these stocks, which are, 100 million, 200, 300 million plus, that are really, again, not much different than Nova. They're all psychedelics companies. They're in phase 2. One of them might be, I think, in phase 3. They're all novel compounds. They're all going after neurological, disorders. So these are real comps. Right? And I think this is what what you can look forward to. And again, the chart is that shows the opportunity. Let me zoom out again. Hang on a second. Let me zoom out again in the chart. So by the way, where are we in the chart? Again, my analysis, things we look for. I like stocks above the 50 to 200 moving average. In this case, we're above the 50 to 200 day moving average, which is technically it's a buy signal. And again, I talk about this in the book, 10-Bagger Blueprint. Again, that's another thing. I have a whole chapter in here on technical analysis. I can take any moron, and show them how to read charts like a pro, okay? I mean, you could probably read this book and get a job at a hedge fund, make, a couple million a year, 20 million a year, maybe. Why not, right? With the information you get here. Again, 20 bucks, best investment you can ever make. So the point is this: we're above the 15 to 200 day moving average. Historically, that's very positive for these charts, for the stock. As you can see, we have big moves whenever that happens. Now, there's not a lot of trading in this. It's been illiquid, so it's not like the stock needs to be really at like 8 cents to have a real clear black and white image of saying, hey, this is the big buy signal. From a technical perspective, again, we're above the 15 to 200 moving average, barely, just barely on this chart. The chart is it's a bullish chart here. I mean, it looks like we're forming a pennant, and it just needs to break out. So I think a lot of people, I think most investors are waiting for this thing to break out into this kind of 8 cents, 10 cents range. If the stock breaks out of 10 cents, it's like game over. Because if it breaks out of 10 cents, that's the major resistance. And, it can go to 40 cents pretty easily, in my opinion. We've seen that type of thing play out over and over again. Am I saying it's going to go to 40 cents? No, I'm not making any price representations. What I am saying is, based on the technicals, based on the charts, the main resistance is kind of like in this, 8 cents, 10 cent range. If we break out of that, that's what happens. You can have a potential move because there's a vacuum. There's a vacuum there. There's really not a lot of resistance between 10 cents and like 40 cents. You have kind of this no man's land. You have a vacuum, and that's and the bull run wants to kind of usually fill that type of vacuum. So that's what I see as the as the opportunity for Nova. Again, I think, in my opinion, this is one of the best risk reward setups in the market right now. With this stock, you're really like, again, you're getting it at a deep discount. Anytime you're getting something at a massive discount, it's like the profit is built in. It's like, again, going back to the real estate example. Again, if you follow any, real estate, whatever, everybody knows in real estate or in any kind of assets, you make your money on the buy, right? You make your money when you buy the thing, right? If you buy it cheap enough, your profit is built in. And here, you're making your money on the buy with this stock because you're getting it at a deep discount to the peer group. And all we got to do is wait for the catalyst to kick in and that valuation gap closes again. And this valuation gap is so big, that's why I see this as an asymmetric setup. Again, I feel like I feel like a mental patient here because I'm like, I can't believe people haven't figured this out. Maybe I'm insane because I see this, and again, but then again, every time when I introduced all those stocks you see at the bottom of the screen, CBDT, nobody believed it. ESC, nobody believed it. Fans Unite, nobody believed it. Imagine AR, that's a stock that went up 1,700%. Nobody believed it when I first brought it on, and they all had the same type of theses. And I can't believe that at this point I still have to beat you over the head to get this through your thick skulls about this opportunity. Look, but that's the reality. The average investor is a moron. The average investor, and a lot of you who are watching this are morons. I'm just telling you it is. I'm not trying to insult you. I'm just telling you that a lot of you are morons. If you haven't bought the stock, if you haven't bought the 10-bagger blueprint. No, I know for a fact most of you are morons. You know how I know? Because we should have sold at least 10,000 copies of this book by now, just based on the audience size, right? At least 10,000 copies of the book. And no, we haven't. We've sold only a fraction of that. We should have sold 10. Now, the crazy thing is, see, the problem is investors, everybody wants to be told what to do. People don't want to think for themselves. It's almost like, if you read this book, you'll learn how to think for yourself. But a lot of you don't even know how to read. They're morons. and you're going to lose all your money buying some stock. You know what's going to happen is some of you guys are going to buy, Nova. Maybe if it goes to like $4, like what we saw in that chart. Let's say it goes to $4. That's when a lot of you are going to be buying the stock. I'm not saying it's going to go to $4, but because you're not buying it at the right time. The time to buy it is when it's been de-risked, when it's at the bottom of the chart, when you're getting it a dirt cheap valuation. Again, look at the comps. You got 134, 300, 4. I'm not saying Nova's worth 400 million. I think it's kind of going to be at the bottom of that comp range. I think it's probably like in that 100 million plus range. I think that's kind of where this thing should be. If they get good data, they probably should be in that range. They could overshoot. But 100 million is probably like a reasonable price for a phase 2A psilocybin company. Again, psychedelics, biotech sector, they want to see stuff that's like a novel therapeutic. And again, nobody has any drugs for Fragile X like Nova's doing. Autism, this would be a novel therapeutic for autism. This could be a game changer, right? This psilocybin therapeutic for autism. And then once they get into that, you could expand into other neurological disorders potentially, right? Those are billion-dollar markets. I mean, you're talking about Parkinson's, Alzheimer's. Again, Dr. Marvin Hausman talked about this potentially being used for diabetes. There's some gut-brain thing with diabetes. It's a little bit beyond my pay grade. He explained how that works. So again, could that work? Now, again, we're seeing a diabetes drug work for weight loss. There you go. This drug Ozempic, you're hearing all of a sudden about. This was a diabetes drug, and it has this incredible effect for weight loss. That's going to be even a bigger opportunity for, I think it's Lilly that's making this Ozempic, right? So that shows you the opportunities in biotech, right? So you can start with one area, but the real market for it could be in something completely different. Like Viagra, right? I think Viagra was originally for, was a hair loss drug or something? No, it was for, I forgot what. And then they found out, hey, it's an erection drug, right? I mean, you take the Viagra and, you get an erection. And that became a multi-billion. I mean, that changed Pfizer. I actually think the invention of Viagra was responsible for the bull market of the 1990s, because when did Viagra come out? There's a correlation. When Viagra came out, the bull market in stocks started in the mid to late 90s. 96, I think it was roughly, right? Why? Because people were in a better mood, right? Because who's taking Viagra, right? It's males 50 plus, usually 45 plus, right? Those are the guys who have all the money, right? So they're buying stocks. All of a sudden, they're in a good mood. They're going to be feeling more optimistic about stocks. That's what happened. Now, again, Ozempic, this drug for Lilly, I don't know what the market is for the diabetes thing. I think it's a couple billion, but the weight loss thing could probably be 10 times bigger. So when they get this, off-label prescription for weight loss, everything else, that's where you make the big money. Or even that, what's that drug? The hair loss drug. What the hell is it called? Minoxidil, Rogaine. Rogaine, I think, was a heart drug or something, and they found out it grew hair. There you go. It was like it wasn't good for one thing. It became a multi-billion-dollar thing for something else. So, with Nova Mentis, the idea is you get into Fragile X, get this approved, hopefully, potentially, get approval in that area, and then you could expand into other areas, just like you see with Ozempic going from diabetes to weight loss, like you see Rogaine or Viagra going from whatever it was to something else. That's one of the big opportunities that you have here. And again, the neurological disorder market, in the health, it's I think 50 billion. I saw some crazy numbers. That's the opportunity. Anyway, let me know what you think. Leave your comments in the video description. And of course, make sure you get my book, 10-Bagger Blueprint, on Amazon. Please leave a review. Get the book, $19.95 while supplies last. It's going to give you my proven system. look, if you don't make at least 100 times your money with this book, okay, again, the book is 20 bucks. If you can't make $2,000 profit with some stock based on the ideas you learn here, I'll give you a refund, okay? I'm giving you a 100% refund if you don't make at least 100 times your money. And again, everything in this book applies to Novo Mentis. So get the book on Amazon, leave your comments, leave your positive reviews, make sure you like and subscribe to the video. See you in the next one. And here's to your 100x. Here's to your 100x win. Maybe it'll be Novo Mentis. You never know. You never know. Again, this is all, paid content, high risk. We're not making any prognostications that this is going to go to 100x, 10x, double, zero. I'm not making any. I'm saying what the possibilities are for the stock. You got to do your own due diligence. Obviously, we say that, do your research, decide for yourself if you think, again, get all the facts, look at all the stuff and put it in front of you, decide for yourself. Here's to your 100x.